Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to welcome you all to the Poetry Night by Chartwell Seniors. It is my great pleasure to open this event because this is the 5th annual Poetry Night that we organize. You will hear some poems in various languages. You will also hear some songs and music because poetry can be expressed in many ways. I would just like to add that this is a small school production, so if it happens that a mistake slips in, you can just choose not to hear it. And now let's welcome Jenny and Vojta, our hosts for tonight, who will be leading you to this program. I hope you will enjoy it.
Good evening, everybody. The first poem that you'll hear this evening is called Love One Another, which will be performed by Layla. Love One Another is an extract from his magnum opus, The Prophet. Beginning with the simple commandment of love one another, he writes philosophically about the sanctity of love, while also acknowledging the importance of maintaining one's individual spirit. He writes poetically about the necessity to love, let grow, and involve. If love is rigid and unchanging, the bonds of love will break down. In very eloquent and poetic language, he drives home the point that two people should complement each other, yet maintain and respect their separate identities. So please welcome Layla on stage.
You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Hi, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of heaven dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. And fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver from the same music. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea through the shores of your souls. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow.
Next poem we have this evening is Les Mains de l'Aube by Victor Hugo, performed by Sophie. Les Mains de l'Aube is one of the best-known masterpieces of Victor Hugo. This enigmatic poem takes us for a walk through Normandy's countryside. The destination of the journeys is a mystery. One at first imagines a lover's date, but the poem will unravel a meaning much deeper to the poet's heart. The piece was written for his beloved daughter, Leopoldine, who died, and in it he travels to her grave. The poet builds up the tension of the poem in an extremely visual, almost cinematic way, all recorded slowly using simple French as usual.
Demain de l'aube, à l'heure où blanchit la campagne, je partirai. Vois-tu, je sais que tu m'attends. J'irai par la forêt, j'irai par la montagne, Je ne peux demeurer loin de toi plus longtemps. Je marcherai, les yeux fixés sur mes pensées, sans rien voir au dehors, sans entendre aucun bruit. Seul, inconnu, le dos courbé, les mains croisées, triste. Et le jour pour moi sera comme la nuit. Je ne regarderai ni l'or du soir qui tombe, ni les voiles loin descendant vers un fleur. Et quand j'arriverai, je mettrai sur ta tombe un bouquet d'ouvert et de bruyères en fleurs.
A following poem, Rose's Hugger by Kate Wright. Hugger is a humorous poem written from a child's perspective. Anyone who recalls being hugged and tortured by a loving, by a way too mawkish, sentimental, and well simply boring relative will understand what Mary Rose talks about.
I'd sooner be jumped and thumped and dumped. I'd sooner be slugged and mugged than hugged and clobbered with slobber and kissed by my Auntie Jean. You know what I mean? Whenever she comes to stay, you know you're bound. To get one quick, short peck would be okay, but this one is a waking great, smacking great, wet one. I'll whoosh and spit and crunch and squeeze and dear little boy and Auntie's missed you and come to Auntie, she hasn't kissed you. Please don't do it, Auntie, please. Or if you absolutely got to, and nothing on earth can persuade you not to, the trick is to make it quick. As far as are things, I really would far sooner be jumped and thumped and dumped, far sooner be slugged and mugged than hugged, and clobbered with slobber and kissed by my Auntie Jean.
The next poem you'll hear is called Tangomero with Pablo Neruda, performed by Joachim. The moment when the day is coming to its end, which inspires to a meditation on the fugacity of human life, is a very present motif in the poetry of famous Chilean poet Pablo Neruda. In this poem, when the dark night is falling over the earth, the feelings of solitude, anguish, and emptiness are invading the poet's soul, and he feels that his own end will inevitably come to one day. But even in these moments of helpless feeling in front of the invincible idea of death, the poet raises his voice to all humans to wake up from the passivity and struggle to recover all that has been lost. Welcome all to the stage.
Tengo miedo, la tarde es gris y la tristeza del cielo se abre como una boca de muerto. Tiene mi corazón un llanto de princesa, olvidada en el fondo de un palacio desierto. Tengo miedo y me siento tan cansado y pequeño que reflejo la tarde sin meditar en ella. En mi cabeza enferma no ha de caber un sueño, así como en el cielo no ha cabido una estrella. Sin embargo, en mis ojos una pregunta existe y hay un grito en mi boca que mi boca no grita. No he oído en la tierra que oiga mi queja triste, abandonada en el medio de esa tierra infinita. Se muere el universo de una calma agonía, sin la fiesta del sol o del crepúsculo verde. Agoniza Saturno como una pena mía. La tierra es una fruta negra que el cielo muerde. Y por la vastedad del vacío van ciegas las nubes de la tarde, como barcas perdidas que escondieran estrellas rotas en sus bodegas. Y la muerte del mundo cae sobre mi vida.
Lina Kostenko, which will be performed by Alexei. We'll now hear a beautiful poem, Kryla, Wings, by Lina Kostenko, who is a Ukrainian poem and writer, recipient of the Shevchenko Award. The poem is a beautiful reminder that although humans cannot fly, they still have wings. These wings are made of truth, honor, and trust. They are made of fidelity and love. For some, they are made of sincerity and work. Others have wings of generous care, hope, poetry, and dreams. It is true, humans have wings.
А й правда, крилатим ґрунту не треба. Землі немає, то буде небо. Немає поля, то буде воля. Немає пари, то будуть хмари. В цьому, напевно, правда пташина. А як же людина? Що ж людина? Живе на землі, сама не літає, а крила має. А крила має. Вони ті крила не з пуху пір'я, а з правди, чесноти і довір'я. У кого з вірності у коханні, у кого з вічного поривання, у кого з щедрості до роботи, у кого з щирості на турботи, у кого з пісні, або з надії, або з поезії, або з мрії. Людина нібито не літає, а крила має, а крила має.
Next poem tonight we have Avant la terre était grise by Arthur Rimbaud, performed by Borja. It would be difficult to overestimate the influence of Arthur Rimbaud's poetry on subsequent practitioners of the genre. His impact on the surrealist movement has been widely acknowledged by the other poets, especially Rimbaud's vision and technique. He was the enfant terrible of French poetry in the second half of the 19th century and a major figure in symbolism. In this poem, he's using colors to create the atmosphere of the creation of the earth.
Avant la terre était grise, complètement grise. Elle n'était pas très belle. On n'aimait pas y vivre. Les gens n'y restaient pas. Mais un jour, un poète y a lancé du bleu. Un soldat y a versé du rouge. Un noctambule y a jeté du noir. Un enfant a renversé du jaune. Un jardinier a rajouté du vert. C'est alors que la terre s'est mise à tourner.
The following poem is Pochvala by Stefan George. Stefan George is one of Serbia's biggest and most famous poets. His poetic world is made of nature, solitude, silence, and harmony. Once a dreamer, enthralled in front of the nature and silence, he filled the songs with freshness and lightness. Nature in his songs is only substantive framework, so behind the poetic framework of his songs, we should be looking for his intellectual and religious core. In this poem, he's thankful to the nature, sun, and the earth, and everything that's around him.
Hvala sunču, zemlji travi. Hvala faštu, što je plav. I hvala ovo, što imam govor i gledam kako mili mrak. Hvala srđu za bol, slavija, što ga probudi i šum blag. Hvala svemu što ostavlja, po svetu sem u meni trag. Hvala ovoj ludoj glavi, o koju lupa prostor sad. Hvala sunču, da mi travi, hvala paštu, što je plav.
The next poem you will hear is Love is Not All and Edna St. Vincent Millay performed by Jana. When one first reads the title of Edna St. Vincent Millay's poem Love is Not All, they will most likely get the impression that Millay harbors bitter feelings towards the idea of love. The poet cleverly uses this title to ask her readers a valid question. How can love be all if it cannot supply us with even the most basic of sustenance? However, the ironic fashion in which this message is revealed demonstrates the message that love is all by juxtaposing it to trivialities and basic necessities in life, thus becoming something of a more immaterial and metaphysical value.
Life is not all. It is not meat, nor drink, nor slumber, nor a roof against the rain, nor yet a floating spar to men that sink and rise, and sink and rise, and sink again. Life cannot fill the thickened land with breath, nor clean the blood, nor set the fractured bone. Yet many a man is making friends with it. Even as I speak, for the lack of love alone, it well may be that in a difficult hour, pinned down by pain and moaning for release, or nagged by one past resolution's power, I might be driven to sell the love for peace, or trade the memory of this night for food. It well may be, I do not think I would.
Next poem we shall be hearing is Max und Moritz by Wilhelm Buch, performed by Etienne. Max and Moritz, The Story of Seven Boyish Pranks, is an illustrated story in verse. The highly inventive, blackly humorous tale, told entirely in rhymed couplets, was written and illustrated by Wilhelm Buch and published in 1865. Max und Moritz became the forerunners to the comic strip.
Ach, was muss man oft von Büßen? Kindern hören oder lesen. Wie zum Beispiel hier von diesen, welche Max und Moritz hießen, die anstatt durch weise Lehren sich zum Guten zu bekehren, oftmal nur darüber lachen und sich eigentlich lustig machen. Ja, zur Übeltätigkeit. Ja, dazu ist man bereit. Menschen necken, Tiere quälen, Äpfel, Birnen, Menschen stellen. Das ist freilich angenehmer und dazu auch viel bequemer, als in Kirche oder Schule festzusitzen auf dem Stuhl.
The next poem you'll be hearing is going to be For Everything There Is a Season, the book of Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a reason are famous verses from the book of Ecclesiastes, and they are spoken by the unnamed teacher who investigates the meaning of life. This passage explores the idea that the humans cannot confidently discern that which is better or worse without faith in God. Similarly, the teacher explains that there is a time for every human experience, good and bad.
For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rant and a time to sue, a time to speak and a time to keep quiet, a time for love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace, a time to perform and a time to stop performing.
Okay, so now we're going to hear a poem performed by Mao, Etude Opus 10 and number 3 by Frédéric Chopin. We'll now hear a musical break. Frédéric Chopin wrote this piece shortly after he moved to Paris, and it was later called Trieste, meaning sadness. Chopin himself is reported to have said for this piece, "In all my life, I have never again been able to find such a beautiful melody."